G'day guys, welcome back to Stat Chat Sports. We're here with another AFL Team Preview video. It's me, Josh, on the call with BT and Taylor today. Taylor, who have we got up for today? Which team we're going to be talking about in our series of AFL Team Previews?
Today, we are talking about the mighty North Melbourne Kangaroos in our 14th position.
The Kangas.
Yeah, the Kangas. The Roo boys. It's a very young, exciting list, in my opinion. There's a lot of young talent. They've been through some horrible years, in my opinion, but I think they're going to come out of it pretty well. I mean, given the times they've had in the past couple of years, the growth will be slow, but it's an exciting list at the moment.
Very young list. I think it's the most exciting list out of all clubs, to be honest with you. Especially the only thing I have worry is do they have like a forward line structure? That's
100%.
the worry.
That's my biggest issue, I think, BT. Like you said, I mean, they've got promise, but they haven't really got anyone that's delivered the goods on a consistent basis. I mean, the Souvlaki, he looks a world of promise, and really starting to sort of enter where he should be in his prime. You know, he's 23, he's played 60 games. You'd expect that this year is the next step for him. And then, of course, the recruit from Richmond, not a bad bit of business, I think, this from North Melbourne to pick up Callum Coleman-Jones. He was picked 21, I believe, in the 2017 draft. So, he's just starting to come into that age now where, as a key forward, you should be getting to another level. So the hope would be for him is that he gets some consistent first-team footy at North Melbourne, because he wasn't getting that at the Tigers, obviously. But like you said, BT, they really need to get some consistency from those guys. They don't have a whole lot in the sheds sort of backing them up. I mean, Josh Walker is there as depth, but he's really been a bit of a journeyman over the last 10 years. And there's not a great deal else. So that's probably one of the main worries, I think, BT.
What about the big Cameron Zurhaar? Can he see? He's like a very, very close to like a DeGoey type player.
Yeah.
Yep. Where you can't rely on. He needs to be. I know that they've got. We'll touch on this as well. Their midfield depth, and I don't know. I think he's more of a midfielder that should go forward, like a DeGoey, Dusty Martin type, personally. But they need him up forward because they're lacking forwards. The other question I'd have is, does he have the tank? Yeah, that too. Exactly.
Yeah. And he hasn't shown that yet.
No.
If he can build that tank and even turn into a 70 forward, 30 mid kind of guy, that poses well. But at the moment, he just shapes up as that third tall forward, which as we said earlier, Coleman-Jones has a lot of promise, but hasn't really proven it yet. Really, they need Zurhaar to be that number two.
Yes.
And a consistent number two. I think a good season for Zurhaar is a season where, he's averaging 2 goals a game and really making a presence up forward. I don't want to see him kicking 4 goals one week and getting 20 posies, and the next week he's barely sighted, doesn't kick a goal, 10 touches, minimal impact on the game. That's not what we need from Zurhaar this year. We need a consistent 4-quarter performance week in, week out.
Completely agree. Exactly.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah. Like I said, their midfield depth. Let's touch on that, Josh. How do we?
Huge.
What do we think of that?
So this is clearly a strength of the team, and they've got one of the best young on-ball brigades in the competition. Obviously, Cunnington, we don't know if he's going to play this year. dealing with the testicular cancer. We wish him all the best. Clearly, he is Melbourne's number one on baller. But they're certainly not lacking in that department. Obviously, picking up Hugh Greenwood this offseason was a steal. We mentioned that in our Gold Coast video, Taylor, and I think that Greenwood's going to be able to come in and play a big role this year.
Yeah. Their contested ball strength is all of a sudden just it's huge now. You got Luke Davies-Uniacke, Hugh Greenwood. There's Horne-Francis. If he gets a run, he's a big boy. I think he could see a little bit of ball winning time. I mean, he's
Simpkin won the best and fairest last year too. So.
Yeah. And that's where they've got that silkiness, I think, in their team. Simpkin's a pretty decent ball user from memory.
Left footer.
Yeah, silky left foot. They've still got guys like Tom Powell, who was touted as a really good junior. Will Phillips, I think he was a top 10 pick from memory. A top 5 pick possibly last year.
Third overall.
Yeah, that's it. And I mean, adding Horne-Francis to that mix, it's all of a sudden there's just an embarrassment of young riches there.
So the one guy you haven't mentioned as well, and this is my breakout player for North Melbourne this year. You could argue that he had a breakout second half of 2021, but I see him going to another level this year, and that's Tarryn Thomas. He shapes up as a goal-kicking, ball-winning midfielder. He kicked 24 goals last year. He had sort of games where he kicked 4 goals, 20 plus disposals. I mean, they are marquee performances. And, with Cunnington out, he got a lot more time on ball. And I think it would be remiss of North Melbourne to not give him those opportunities, because he's shown that he can be an absolute star. I see him turning into realistically a potential A grader of the competition. And he's not just a breakout player for me. I've got him as a potential All-Australian as well. I think he is going to have a real big season this year, particularly with all those other weapons that we've just mentioned in the midfield.
I completely agree with all of that. He's an absolute weapon. Let's look at their actual midfield. We're going Goldstein, obviously in the ruck. Obviously, he doesn't have much longer, but you got Jai Simpkin, LDU, and Tarryn Thomas. You say we're going to be their core 3 in the middle. Then you're going to have Tom Powell, Horne-Smith, Phillips, Greenwood, Scott, Zerha might rotate through there, Stevenson on the wing. You got all these players who can just go through that midfield. They're very damaging. They're going to be, especially with Aaron Hall. And I think from all talks, Luke McDonald's had nearly a full preseason as well this season. So them two off the half back. It's like we said at the start. It's just their forward line if they can kick enough goals. But if they're going to get goals from someone like your Tarryn Thomas and whatnot, then you're not going to have to worry about Zerha trying to kick 4 or whatnot.
Remind me again why we've got them at 14th.
I was just about to say, I'm changing. I'm changing. I've got them pushing top 8. I've got them pushing top 8.
I'm feeling the hype. I'm feeling the North Melbourne hype. But look, we've got to stick with our ranking, unfortunately. So we've got them at 14th, but North Melbourne fans, we'd love to hear from you in the comments.
No, screw that. Screw that. I'm up and about. I'm jumping on the bandwagon. I think I'm looking at buying a membership. I'm all the way on the Kangaroos.
Yeah, you're jumping on the Roos bandwagon. Yeah. Here we go.
Can I get you to commit here, BT? If North Melbourne make the finals this year, will you buy a North Melbourne membership?
I won't just buy a membership. I'll rock their merch as well. All right? I'm all in.
Are you getting a number on the back? Tarryn Thomas? Who do you like?
Tarryn Thomas. I like Jai Simpkin. I've got him a Brownlow Smoky, to be honest.
That's a big call. That is a big call.
I think he's going to have an outstanding year. But yeah, I don't know why we've got him so low, to be honest. Now I'm looking at it. The more and more I look at it, the more and more I get excited.
Yeah, I think the biggest issue, aside from the forward line, sorry to cut you off, Taylor, the biggest issue aside from the forward line is obviously that at the moment they've got a lot of young talent, not all of it is necessarily proven, and their best players are their over 30s. So, obviously Zeeble, Goldstein, we mentioned. Aaron Hall, I think, is an All-Australian chance this year if he plays like he did off halfback last year. So, their established players are all over 30 and could decline. So, the key for North this year is that young talent. We need to see 2-3 genuine A-graders put in A-grade performances this year.
And I think they do. I think they've got, with Jai Simpkin, he's a good age, Larky, Zerha, I think Tarryn Thomas, these guys, I think they're pushing to hit their prime very soon, I think. Hopefully it's this season and I'm up and about.
Yeah, I think there's no team in the comp that has more upside from where they're at now than North Melbourne, but with that comes too many variables. There's too many guys. If half of that doesn't work, then where are they? They're sort of swimming in no man's land. And I mean, if everything goes gangbusters, then look, they probably are that top 8 side, and then Brody's buying merch. but yeah, there's just a lot to play up with them.
I've got a couple of guys under the pump as well, BT. Typically, we just do one player, but I've got two because we are so excited about North Melbourne. First one is Jared Pollock.
Yeah.
Brought in on big money. I think it'd be fair to say that they overpaid, but they had the salary cap to pay. And I don't think he's really delivered on the investment. He was delisted at the end of last year, re-rookied for salary cap purposes. Taylor, he obviously played for your former team. He used to play for the team that you support, Port Adelaide. Do you think there's a chance that Pollock is not there at the end of the year and is not part of the 22?
There's a very big chance, in my opinion. I think we're going to see some of these guys. Obviously, Jaden Stevenson is going to spend some time on a wing. Pollock's only real position is on a wing. And as soon as he's pushed out by these young blokes, which Stevenson, Phillips will probably spend some time out there. I think this is it for him. Yeah, if there's anyone on the hot seat, it's him because there's just too many guys waiting to push him out.
Yeah. Well, the other guy that I do have on the hot seat is another early draft pick, Aiden Bonner. Originally picked up by the Giants. He was pick 11 back in 2017. And I think he's played about 20 games in the past 4 years. So 2 clubs, entering his 5th year. I think realistically it's make or break for him because we've mentioned all the young talent around. If he's not delivering, he's out the door.
Yeah, completely agree. Yeah, he's been there way too long for doing nothing. Yeah,
agreed.
I think that's pretty straightforward.
There's too many guys in that back line vying for spots there. I think if he can't show something this year, he's gone.
Probably a final word on the coach. Noble entering his 2nd season at the helm. I think it'd be fair to say that they didn't start well, obviously, but they certainly built towards the back half of last year. How do you think he's going to go in season 2, BT? Do you think this is another step forward for him and his coaching credentials?
Yeah, for sure. I like the game plan he's brought, and especially with, I think it was maybe from round 7 or so onwards with Aaron Hall going into off halfback. I think that broke up the game a lot. His speed off halfback. They're a very attacking type team, and they've definitely got the ball users there now as well. I think they're just going to improve. If they can actually, I watched a fair few of their games last season, and what they lacked was hitting the targets in going forward. I think if they can improve on that, coming off the wing halfback and hitting the targets, that's going to go a long way.
Yeah, perfect. Very good. Any last words from you, TB, about North Melbourne and how you think they're going to go this year?
Like I said, I mean, it could go one of 2 ways. They've got the most potential to be the surprise packet in the competition, I think. I think it's quite obvious how much potential they do have, but how much they realise remains to be seen, really.
Yeah, I like it. Look, if you're on board with North Melbourne as much as BT, make sure you let us know in the comments. Tell us where you think they're sitting. Tell him how he needs to sign up for his membership pack, because it's clear to us now after this conversation that he's definitely going to be getting one, because North Melbourne is certainly going to be in the finals mix if everything goes their way. Look, we're going to be keeping on doing these team previews all the way up to the start of the AFL season. So if you want to catch up with the next teams that we've got coming up in this series, make sure you subscribe to the channel, subscribe to all of our social media outlets as well, because we're constantly pumping out content on those, not just about football, but all the sports you like. So make sure you stay tuned to Stat Chat Sports. Thanks, guys. We'll see you in the next video.
Thank you.
Yeah, mate.